Take advantage of some soft early ADP lines with our all value teams, giving you 15 high upside players to target. All this and more. It's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy, call him Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fix this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, and this is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. It's all about value tonight as we unveil our 2025 all-value teams for early ADP. I'm your host, Seth Wilcock, and tonight I'm joined by a man who currently is leading a specific flag football league in New England in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Our entertainment and NFL betting pundit here at IBT, Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. What's going on, Steve?
Not much, man. Just out here, keeping the arm warm, getting ready to go again this weekend. We got 2 games this week. I got a doubleheader this Saturday.
Ooh.
So bright and early down on the shores of Boston. So I'm real excited about it. I'm also really excited to be here on the IBT podcast as usual. And this week we got all different stages of beards for the audience so we can see, so people can kind of figure out what they want to do with their facial hair. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I just shaved today, so clean shaven right here. Jake's got the nice stash going on. Steve, you're rocking that hefty beard as always. And as mentioned, also posting up tonight is somebody who I hope you're going to see a lot more here over the channel in the coming years from. He's long hair, don't care, jack of all, master of some, Jake the Snake Perry. What's up, Jake?
I'm just hyper focusing on this alfalfa sprout that's popping out of the bun on top of my head right now. I'm chilling. My shoulder hurts, not from throwing passes or passing touchdowns, but because I got a new driver this weekend and I'm stoked about it. But I swung too much. I hit it too far and too hard.
And
now I got to go to my physical therapist and be
grip it and rip it. Grip it and rip it.
I did no stretching, no warm-ups. Truly just walked into PGA Superstore and just raw dogged my own driver fitting. It was great.
This is 30.
I love how as a young person, you could just go out and do anything and you didn't ever have to stretch. And like, I remember the first time this year jumping on the bike, I was like, oh man, I feel like shit after. And Katie's like, did you stretch? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, there you go. So Jake, I'm there with you. I've also had that issue golfing. However, I don't hit it far, so I'm never like sore because I'm hitting it far, just because I'm trying. So
Jake, if you join us more on the show, you'll realize that Seth talks like he's like 40. Seth is like the ripe old age of like 26 years old. Like man is barely old enough to vote and is like, I'm up there, man. I'm like,
old soul, baby.
To be fair, my Dungeons and Dragons podcast, we were shooting the shit after the episode, and everybody's like, yeah, Jake's the baby here. I was like, wait, how old are you guys? And they're like 28. I'm like, I'm literally older than you. I am the grandpa of this team.
Yeah, Seth is spiritually.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the stash, Jake, you could pass as quite a bit younger. That's definitely for sure. But as noted, guys, on tonight's program, we got front and center our all value teams, 15 total players that are high upside picks. And we also will have a game of Would You Rather. That'll be a little bit of a fun way to round out the program. We're also welcoming back a man tonight who moves the needle for the IBT podcast. He's a Yinzer. He's a Ginger. He's an IUP Crimson Hawk, formerly behind-the-scenes producer Kyle Scott. Jim, how's it going out there in the Berg right now that we're officially rocking the springtime? Are all of Yins out on the ton yet?
Yeah. They would be if the weather was a bit nicer. It is a bit of a Pittsburgh spring, which is just kind of cold and wet. But once this kind of dries up a little bit, the ton's gonna be bumping.
There you go. Pickle Fest. I don't think we're that far away from Pickle Fest, right?
No, Picklesburg is is coming up in May, I think. Yeah.
Let's go. All
What
right.
happens out there?
It's where my
Those
wife's trying to get me
pickles,
to go for
dude.
my birthday. I hate pickles. She's just trying to use it as a perfect opportunity.
Dude,
What is
it's
Picklesburg? What is this? What is this?
it's like just a a pickle fest. Like there's a bunch of
The
different
pickle
vendors.
festival.
Yeah,
Oh
they
my
all got.
god. What in the world is going on?
Gotta love it. Gotta love it, baby. Gotta love the United States. We appreciate y'all out there. Wanted to shout out the IBT family, as always, for riding with us. If you guys enjoy this type of content, if you enjoy us talking about fantasy football, NFL betting, all the nonsense in between, like Picklesburg, just go ahead, give this video a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. Also, be sure to please check out the website for more fantastic written content. And while you're there, get yourself a ticket to Draft Night Out. That's our live fantasy football draft at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio, this August. If you want to come draft with us and 200 of our closest fantasy football friends, this is the event for you. We got a shot wheel spinning, giveaways going off, and everything in between. Link in the episode description. Jake, I know you were hanging out Draft Night Out last year yourself, and I know you were bombing a couple beers.
I'm glad you decided to say a couple because I was just going to fully admit that it was like probably 10 plus. But yeah, it's a great time.
Great time.
I was doing that, walking around to all the tables, making fun of my friends' teams until I'd run into one that I actually liked. And I was like, good job.
Yeah, so I've never been able to draft and Draft Night Out, so much going on, but you can even just come hang out. We have just a hangout ticket as well if you just want to come, be a booze bag like Jake and walk around and talk some shit on some teams. Yeah, absolutely. That's what Steve will do, minus the booze, but he'll just be a shit talker for sure. So
Yeah, good for it.
yeah, let's go ahead, guys. Let's jump into the all value teams in front and center.
Sometimes taking that first step out the door is the hardest thing to do. Give it a chance, you'll be begging for more. Save the spot just for you. We're all somewhere in between. How about you come to the place? You can have some fun. Ain't gotta worry about knowing not what it means. You can come and give me another, cause the night is young. At least I so thought.
This just in. Breaking news. Front and center.
All right, it's front and center. We're giving you our all-value teams for 2025. We're using current Underdog Fantasy ADP. We're just going to give you a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, and, of course, a flex as well. Jake, I'm coming to you first with the quarterback position. Who is the captain of your all-value team for 2025?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good values out there, but for me, it's Justin Fields coming off the board at quarterback 15. Now that he's with the Jets, he's going to get the opportunity to, I think, truly just lead an offense without anybody looking over his shoulder. Obviously, getting to play with Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall certainly helps it out, but we know what Justin Fields can do as a fantasy producer when given opportunity, and that's run a lot and score a lot of points. So, when I can get a guy that I view as true top 5 quarterback overall upside at quarterback 15, it's a smash. Like, you certainly could go farther down the board, and there's some great value still, but Fields would 100% be my target in drafts right now. He'd be the first quarterback I'm truly looking at taking.
While it's been inconsistent at times, Jay Fields has definitely been a quarterback one per game throughout his entire career. I would think now that he's working in an offense like the Jets, working with former Ohio State teammate Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, who's an excellent pick. I think there's a little bit more they get out of Malachi Corley as well, and potentially maybe add some players later in the draft as well. So I like that call out there from Jake. Steve, where are you going as your captain? The signal caller for Steve's all-in team is?
Yeah, so I was going to go Justin Fields, and I love the pick, Jake, so I'm all in on that. But I stayed home on this one, and I went with Drake Maye. My boy here in Boston, laying it out there for the New England Patriots. The reason why I went Drake Maye over Justin Fields for this is because there is absolutely zero risk of him being benched, right? Like, he is the guy. He is the offense. There's no one who's going to, poach from him. Like, he's going to be the running back. He's going to be the quarterback. He may have to play receiver at this point because, I'm not sold on Stephon Diggs being ready to go for the start of the season.
Oh, come on.
But I think Drake Maye is going to put up some good numbers this year fantasy-wise. While the New England Patriots will be terrible, he will have to put up numbers, and I'm really excited about that. And quarterback 16, people think he's going to be like a bottom of the barrel kind of guy. He wasn't last year. He was a top 10 quarterback in points per game, or a top 12 in points per game when he played. He set the highest average rushing yards per carry of any quarterback like ever last season as a rookie. I mean, he's only going to get better as he gets more time in the NFL. I'm excited for what Drake May can bring. Even in a Mike Vrabel offense, I think this is going to look better than last season. So I'm projecting a top 10 finish for Drake May, and I'll take that at 16.
Yeah, so Steve, you were texting us a little bit before the show, and you're like, "Man, I didn't get my evening coffee in me." And I think so much that you stole my pick. This is my pick. This is my all-value team quarterback is Drake May. However, I will give it to you because I also like your pick, and to kind of just build on Drake May a little bit. Since taking that starting job in week 6, Drake May, QB 12 overall, QB 14 on a points per game basis. However, he also had that one game against the Jets in week 8 where he left after just playing about 30% of the snaps. That kind of brings that average down, or he could be truly a top 10 quarterback. And that's thrown to guys like Hunter Henry, the X that we never want to get back together, as we refer to him on this particular program. Kayshon Boutte, who, kind of came on late in the season, which was great, but Pop Douglas out there as well behind the bottom offensive line. And it was a rookie season for him as well. I kind of like the Stephon Diggs signing. I'm still, I'm with you, Steve, that I don't know if he'll be ready by week 1, but there's still some other veterans out there. Amari Cooper's out there. You got Keenan Allen out there as well. And it's looking more and more like that there's a good chance we see someone like Travis Hunter drafted at 4 overall. And they've also met with a couple day 2 wide receivers for their top 30 visits. Kyle Williams, Jalen Noel. Those are both 2 guys who would be excellent flankers there to Stephon Diggs, I think. So if they could add another wide receiver, improve the offensive line, I'm with Steve. I don't only think that Drake May has top 10 upside, Steve. I think he's top 5 upside. And you're getting him at pick 120 overall right now, an underdog. So I'll take that, Jake, over drafting all these guys in the QB 6 and QB 12 range.
Yeah, 100%. I love Drake May as well. I'm apparently the high guy on Stephon Diggs. I think he's going to be fine. He's obviously not going to be what he used to be, but I think he already wasn't what he used to be. And maybe this just truly gave him an opportunity to get everything right and get back there. But like you said, the way the draft is shaking out, especially if you look at the kind of consensus mock drafts over the year, the past week or so, we've got almost all of the top wide receivers falling out of the first round on a pretty consistent basis now. So outside of Tet, he's the only guy consistently still being mocked in the first round, but Egbuka's fallen out, Burden's fallen out. So there's a really good chance that they can get what we considered for a long time to be a first round receiver talent early in the second. And if they do that, plus if Travis Hunter is their pick at 4 and he gets to play some wide receiver too, this offense could go from piss poor to not bad pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll throw out my quarterback, who was originally Steve's, but since I've been stolen like a thief in the night here, give me CJ Stroud here. Little CJ Stroud bounce back at quarterback 18. And the reason I would rather take Drake May at 16 is just the legs, right? It's purely the legs. But when you look at what the Houston Texans might be doing here, there's a good chance that they're potentially going with a skill player. If one of these big tight ends fall down to him, I've seen them mocked potentially take a tight end. I've also seen that they've been meeting with some of these wide receivers during the process as well. That could add a little bit. Jalen Noel was one that they also met with during the process. So I think there's a world where CJ Stroud has, maybe not quite the arsenal that we thought to begin last year when he had Tank Dell healthy, when he had Stephon Diggs, when he had Joe Mixon, when he had, of course, his main man out there, Nico Collins. But at the same time, if you can give him Nico Collins back, you can give him Joe Mixon back, maybe they add another running back in the backfield, get him I guess Dalton Schultz, fine tight end. That's a fine tight end to have.
It's fine. It's not
the
best, but it's fine.
Get him a better wide receiver too. Imagine Matthew Golden or someone crazy in this offense.
Woo!
So yeah,
I'm fun.
Yeah, so I think a lot of upside for CJ Stroud. They make the change to offensive coordinator. At QB 18, there's a floor with it, but you can take it or leave it. So going CJ Stroud there. And Jake, I'm going to throw it back to you now for your running back. Who are you liking out there in those RB streets?
Yeah, running back was the hardest position for me until I saw this guy, and it was lights out for me. I'm going Travis Etienne coming off the board currently at running back 31. I get it. Last year was gross, but I mean, it's Doug Peterson and Press Taylor's offense. We know it's going to be gross at this point. I'm not convinced he was 100% healthy either. The offensive line regressed really heavily in terms of run blocking success. So I'm still in on Travis Etienne. He's still got that pass catching upside. I don't think he has a true threat to his role in that offense. Could they draft somebody that takes a bigger chunk away? Sure. But I still imagine that Etienne is going to be a big focal point of this offense moving forward. And when I get a guy that I know is going to be a team's RB1, almost outside of RB1 range, the range of outcomes is so much higher for him than a ton of other guys in this range, especially because we know what he is capable of as a fantasy option. So he was a no-brainer once I saw the name.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Like, Isaiah Pacheco's right there, RB32, and like probably going to be the starter. Like him and Etienne, very similar to me. Like they're both like you think they're probably going to be the ones to win out that job. Etienne probably a little bit more receiving upside, but Tony Pollard's in that range. Aaron Jones, like I do like Etienne, and I've always been an Etienne stan, and I do agree. Like right after that, there's a big cliff. There's a big cliff coming right after Etienne. So, and especially compared to what we were getting him last year. I mean, we're getting him here nearly at 100 overall, 103 to be exact on Underdog. So I'm all right with shooting the shot on Etienne, a guy who just a season ago we were drafting top 24, top 36, and not really thinking about it. Steve, over to you for your running back all value team.
Yeah, so this one I'm not stealing from you because I am digging my heels in on this guy, and people can call me a homer if they want. But it's I'm repping the Knowles right now. It's Trey Benson, going off at RB42 on Underdog, and Jonathan Gannon has already come out and said this is a 1A running back right now. Right? They spent the draft capital, like pretty solid draft capital. I think it was a 3rd round pick in last season's draft. As the season went on, he only got stronger. He looked more comfortable. He looked more decisive with his running. Trey Benson's a home run threat, right? And James Conner, while very serviceable, I don't know if I'd ever call him great, but I think he's always been good. And I think he's always been better than we in the fantasy community wanted to give James Conner credit for being. But I think in terms of pure running talent and the ability to take the top off the defense or, kind of like make those big explosive plays, Trey Benson's that guy. If he gets like 15 touches a game, this guy could really be a league winner. And going off at RB42, it's borderline undrafted kind of territory. That's when you're in those double-digit rounds, like taking these like real long shot kind of guys. And for me, this is the kind of guy that not only like wins you games, he wins you entire seasons, he wins you leagues, he wins you tournaments. And on Underdog, where it's best ball, you want those home run hitters as much as possible. So a guy like Trey Benson for me in any sort of best ball tournament is very, 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 very valuable.
Yeah, I wasn't in on like Trey Benson, the talent really. I think I was lower than consensus coming in last year, but I liked the landing spot really because of what you said. And like last year just happened to be one of the few years that James Conner pretty much stayed healthy for a majority of the year. It's just always rolling a dice with that guy. And even if you want to grab Conner where he's going to, and then, reinvest with Trey Benson and lock down this backfield, I don't hate that approach. RB23 is a little bit rich for my blood, I think, on Conner. So I think that would be the tough thing to go there. But yeah, Trey Benson, Jake, any thoughts on him? Like split the difference, because I feel like I've always kind of been lower than most analysts on him.
Yeah, he's a guy that I viewed coming into the NFL needed to sit behind Conner for a year. And then I was always kind of treating year 2 as his true rookie year, because this is when I think he's going to get the opportunity. James Conner is another year older, not as great of an athlete as Benson is, especially when we're talking high end speed and whatnot. I'm neutral on Benson as a whole. I think the price is very good though. I would definitely take those shots. Like Steve was saying, we're drafting backups at this point anyway.
Yeah.
If Benson is the starting running back, sky's the limit.
And speaking of backup running backs from this 2024 class, give me Isaac Guerendo for my running back on my all-value team, going off at RB49. With the 49ers moving Jordan Mason, this is now the direct handcuff to Christian McCaffrey. And anytime we hear the words arthritis, Achilles involved. Like, I'm pretty nervous, honestly, about CMC's long-term health. And in addition to that, like, I think there actually could be some standalone value a little bit for an Isaac Guerendo, because maybe Shanahan's going to see, like, I shouldn't just go out there and use CMC for 25 plus touches a game. Maybe that number comes down closer to 20. And in addition, like, Deebo Samuel leaving this team, boys, that opens up 40 rushing attempts that will be vacated over the last 4 seasons. So I think, like, we all knew Guerendo was a flyer coming out of college. He ran the fastest 40 at the combine among running backs last year, a 4.33 second time. But also, like, due to, like, what he was asked to do last year, kind of running in this zone run scheme, he actually showed a little bit of power. He's not just a flyer. So in 4 games last season, when he did see 56% of the snaps or more, Guerendo averaged 17.9 PPR points per game. That's RB1 territory. He had 3 RB1 finishes, 1 RB2 finish in that span. This might not be a huge value if the 49ers go out and they add a day 2 back, but I don't think they have the luxury to mess around with their draft capital that much to do that. And maybe it's just another guy they add in the 5th, 6th round like they usually do, and someone who could be on the team for a couple years and then off. But so I'll take some Isaac Guerendo here, and I'll throw it back to Steve. Let's go to your wide receiver for your all value team.
Yeah, we're gonna stay right there in the Golden State, up in the Bay Area. We're gonna go with Brandon Aiyuk. When I was looking, I was incredibly tempted. I'm gonna honorable mention Chris Godwin real quick, because he did pop up in, like, the wide receiver 30 something territory, and I was like, that seems awfully low. But coming off that ankle injury, I'm like, let's see what else I can find. Brandon Aiyuk going off in the wide receiver 40s range, 44 is what I saw. That is incredibly low for a guy who's a year removed from a wide receiver 1 finish, who got an absolute bag out of the 49ers, who was hurt pretty much all of last year, as was the entire 49ers team. We are buying him at such a discount. They just shipped Deebo Samuel off. He's gone. Like, this is Brandon Aiyuk's opportunity. He's either going to seize it and prove he is a wide receiver 1, or he's going to be the biggest missed contract in the last few years as wide receiver. I don't think Brandon Aiyuk's talent can be questioned. We've watched it for years. We've watched him grow. We've watched the speed, the route running, the hands, the after the catch ability. Brandon Aiyuk has all the tools to be a wide receiver 1. We've seen him put it together. When he's healthy, he is one. Wide receiver 44, that's really, really, really cheap to get a guy who can be a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy football. So, like, give me the discount. I'm happy to take it.
Was Aiyuk hurt all last season? Because I remember him as the one healthy guy until he tore his ACL.
It was because he was coming into the season and we got the coach speak.
Yeah, and then he was.
Once that started happening, it was such a mess.
He was slow to come into.
Anytime someone sits out training camp, you know that the injuries are coming because they just don't have that ramp up time. You cannot go at the level that these guys are going. And I'm just speaking as a medical professional right now. You cannot go from 0 to an NFL game without having some sort of ramp up and expect not to be hurt or at least dinged up to the point that you are not yourself the whole season. This is too high of competition to do that. And Brandon Aiyuk is very, very talented, but he is not Superman. So I'm going to give him some humanity and some grace on what happened last year and ride with him.
Yeah, it's tough for me on Aiyuk just because, I mean, I was personally burned. I had so much exposure in best ball to him, a lot of my redraft exposure, because I was drafting him kind of in that time when he hadn't signed his contract. So it was like end of the 3rd round, early 4th round, Brandon Aiyuk signed me up, and it just didn't come through. And now we're kind of looking at ADP. We got Juwan Jennings, wide receiver 35. We're looking at Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver 39. That tells me that I think most people are not anticipating Brandon Aiyuk to be 100% or at least ready to go by week 1. But at the same time, if he is, like, I think in a vacuum, you'd rather have Aiyuk, right? Like, right?
Yeah,
right,
but
Jake?
even if it's...
Yeah, he's the most talented wide receiver on the team. My biggest concern, and the reason he wasn't my pick at the price, is if it was just a straight ACL tear, I would be less worried. But as a guy who relies so heavily on his route running prowess, it being ACL and MCL that were both complete tears, I am a little bit more hesitant when we see those multi-ligament injuries, it tends to take those guys a little bit longer to get that route running back. I mean, we're still waiting for Kyle Pitts to come back however many years later. But, that's my only holdup with him, because he is by far, I would go as far as saying he's the most talented offensive player left on that roster, with George Kittle close behind and then CMC third, just due to age and injuries.
Yeah. And it took it does take some wide receivers some time. Like Chris Godwin took a little bit to get back. And Steve, for whatever reason too, we see a lot of I don't know if it's because the receivers are depending on a different leg to try to, ginger that one leg that they're coming back from. And I feel like we see a lot of torn hamstring or pulled hamstrings early in the season when a receiver is coming back off an injury, sometimes like that.
Yeah, it can happen if you are favoring that leg. If you start to put more onto another leg, we see it all the time in injuries, just in general.
Yeah.
Someone twists an ankle and all of a sudden their other leg starts to get sore or something like that. It's because you're compensating too much. But what also happens is, again, it's that ramp up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's they're going from 0 to 100. And you can't simulate, and I've heard pro athletes say this a million times, you cannot simulate what happens on the field in a gym. You just can't.
Sure.
You need to be out at training camp and doing that. But even if he's not ready to go until about week 4 or 5, I'd rather have Brandon Aiyuk the rest of the season than those other guys. You know what I mean? At wide receiver 44, that's still you can be patient spending wide receiver 44 price tags on him. This is no longer a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick. You know what I mean? This is a 10th round pick kind of guy. So maybe 11th or 12th even. So you can be patient.
I don't even know if I said hi to anyone today, but we had Ben tuning in. I'm so sorry. I was on a freaking mission today. I apologize, guys. We got Ben checking in. What's up, Ben? Good to see you. And of course, always Albert as well. Good evening, IBT. And also our guy Sam Weiss as well. Fresh legs on return. What's up, Sam? Good to see you, buddy. Guys, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw out my wide receiver for my all value team. And it's right in the same range. Matthew Golden. We've talked a lot about Matthew going on the program this offseason. Houston transfer, finally found his footing kind of late in the season at Texas. We cashed a big gainer, 42-1 ticket on him to run the fastest 40 among the wide receiver class. He slowly has been steamed up draft boards to the point where there are rumors that he could be the top receiver on the board of some teams. Even so, the top rookie consensus wide receiver one, Ted McMillan, he's wide receiver 28 on Underdog Fantasy right now. Golden, all the way down at wide receiver 44, even below Luther Burden, who, I've talked about, I'm not a Luther Burden guy. I don't think he's a first round NFL pick. I think so to get Golden down here, who at the combine, he met with Arizona, Green Bay, the Rams, Saints. He met with some other teams too, like the Steelers, so I don't think are in on a wide receiver now that early. But those were kind of the big ones. If he lands in any of those, he could be Jordan Love's number 1. He could be a really good number 2 for the Saints, really good number 2 for Arizona, or the Rams that might be a little bit slower of coming up. But any of those, I think he could immediately make an impact. And with my comp to Golden being Stephon Diggs, I think he absolutely could pace as a wide receiver 3 as a rookie, maybe have wide receiver 2 upside in there as well. I'll take that every single time at pick number 81. Jake, your thoughts on Matthew Golden, and then please take us to your tight end for your all value team as well.
Well, I still got to say my wide receiver.
Oh, sorry. Skipped right over you.
But it's okay because it's a perfect segue because he's just a couple picks past Matthew Golden, who I do really love. He's one of the top. I think he's probably the 2nd or 3rd most complete true NFL receiver in the class. I think he can walk on the field, do anything a team needs him to do. And he's one of the guys that teams are going to love. So we just kind of have to like him. I've been saying that this whole offseason. It's kind of my motto on a lot of these guys. We could say these profiles aren't as great as other years and whatnot, but teams are going to love guys like this. So we just have to kind of like them. And while I do like Matthew Golden, if you just wait a couple more wide receivers to come off the board, you can get my wide receiver 1 in the rookie class, Emeka Egbuka, coming off the board at wide receiver 46, who I do think is the most complete receiver in the class. I think he's day one ready to walk into an NFL offense, play a variety of roles. I think you're getting, I think you're getting early career Keenan Allen. Like that's my comp for him. I think he's that complete as a wide receiver. Teams are going to love him. He can line up wherever you need him to. I think using him in kind of that later career Keenan Allen, though, that kind of power slot opportunity. I think Egbuka has more after the catch upside than that Keenan Allen did. But I think that's kind of the ceiling that we can expect with Egbuka. Will we see that as a rookie? Maybe, maybe not. We thought we wouldn't see it out of Ladd. We did. We thought we necessarily wouldn't see it out of guys like Zay Flowers. We did. So that upside is there. And for me at wide receiver 46, I'll take this shot here over a lot of other wide receivers that are going well before him. Like you said, with both Pearsall and Juwan Jennings going in the 30s. If that was my thought process there, I'm taking a different position, waiting for Egbuka to come.
Yeah, I don't mind Emeka at all, man. He's definitely up there for me. I think I was high on him. He's my wide receiver 3, and I feel like I'm definitely a little bit above consensus. But good to see that you also like this guy. And the thing I like about Emeka, specifically, for best ball formats, is yes, he is profiling as a slot receiver, but he also plays in 2 wide receiver sets, and he's such a good blocker and such a dog that you want in there. On, you're not going to have him in your wide receiver, your 1 wide receiver sets, but you're going to have him out there as your flanker. A lot of times I feel like if you spend the late day 1, early day 2 draft capital on him. So I'd like to pick with Emeka Egbuka there. Steve, let's go to you actually for your tight end.
Yeah, I am going to say the name that it's borderline Voldemort level of like we don't speak his name in the offseason anymore because it's happened so many times. Kyle Pitts, tight end 18. Listen, I know. I'm here with you. And I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Kyle Pitts is the most athletically gifted tight end in the NFL today. Is and will continue to be even after Tyler Warren ends up on a team. I don't care. Kyle Pitts is a freak of nature, and with Michael Penix under center, this is going to be the year that we see the bounce back. He went over 1,000 yards as a rookie for a reason. It wasn't an accident, okay? This guy is a freak, and he's finally, like we saw the flashes of what he was, right? We know he got hurt. We know it's taken time to come back. Michael Penix is not Kirk Cousins, okay? Michael Penix has a better arm. He's a younger guy. He's able to extend plays. Kyle Pitts, the number 1 knock on Kyle Pitts I have, honestly, is touchdowns. Every year he's gone up by 1. He had like 1 touchdown, then 2 touchdowns, then 3 touchdowns, then 4 touchdowns. Yeah. It's very weird. But like, all right, so even if we lock him in at 5 touchdowns is pretty good. All right, like that's not the worst. You'd get, you'd be okay with that. This is a guy who could go for 1,000 yards again. And at tight end 18, with some of the guys that are around there, like your dirty, nasty, rotten ex-Hunter Henry, who treated you like dog shit, and somehow you want to go crawling back to for no reason other than once in a while he treats you nice. Fuck that.
Chipotle, man. Take some
Chipotle. Every now and then he remembers your Chipotle order, and you're like, but he's changed. He hasn't changed. Hunter Henry will never change. Kyle Pitts is that guy that you don't need to fix him up. You just need to wait for him to hit his potential. He's young. He's so young. Like he's just listen, at tight end 18, what the fuck do you have to lose at tight end 18?
He's like the girl who you've been dating since high school. She's going to college to be a pharmacist, and you're just waiting for her to get out and cash that bag, right? Like she kind of fucks around in college a little bit.
It's even better. You've dated the prom queen, right? She won prom queen. She came into nailed it. Yeah. Or for me, it would be the prom king, right? I dated the prom king. He's awesome. Went to a huge college with all these expectations.
Fucked around, found
out, and kind of lost his way for a little bit. Okay,
yeah.
maybe got a little, maybe a Dewey at a party or something. You know what I mean? Kind of like not
to an SEC school.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it happens. Like it happens to the best of us. All right, so I'm gonna
maybe like got caught, saying a slur on social media or something. Yeah.
He said something. He said something stupid. Did something stupid. But it's there, right? And you're seeing that guy come back, right? Or that girl come back. This is not the person you give up on. This is the person that you date that you look back on years later if you've given up and say, what could have been? what I
Okay.
could have had, because while you're sitting there with fucking Tyler Warren or Hunter Henry or Cole Kmet or some shit like that, someone's got your girl. Someone's got your girl. Someone's got your Kyle Pitts, and they are running you like they are just absolutely beating the brakes off you week after week and rubbing it in your face that you didn't stick with the person that you loved. Don't do it. Don't fall into the trap.
So I don't want to draft Kyle Pitts because I've done it so much that like I think everyone has. But at the same time, at tight end 18, Steve does make a compelling case. I just want to go back and forth. I'm going to say names, and you guys just say Pitts or this name. And I'll Isaiah Likely, tight end 15.
Pitts.
I'll take Pitts. Dallas Goedert, tight end 16.
Goddard.
Pitts. Jake Ferguson.
Pitts.
Ferg.
Cade Auden.
Pitts.
I'm
Yeah,
Pitts.
probably Pitts there.
Cole Kmet.
Pitts.
Komet.
Okay. I have one below that I'll talk about here in a second. What about Dalton Kincaid, tight end 14?
Never.
Pitts.
Kincaid.
Never Kincaid. Never Kincaid.
I'd go Kincaid.
I'll draft no tight ends before I draft Dalton Kincaid. Everybody got mad at me all offseason last year when I said he was going to be garbage, and then he was garbage, and then now everybody's like, oh, yeah, he does kind of suck. Never Kincaid.
Ben saying in the chat, be so Pitts like to have a breakout season when they're so low on him.
He already all right. I hate this narrative. I'm sorry, Ben. I love you so much, but this narrative. Oh, he'd have a breakout season after. He already had the fucking breakout season. All right?
But it was so long. But post injury breakout though, because I agree with Jake. I just don't think his route running is there. He's not getting open as much now. But we got to keep it moving though at the tight end position here. I'm gonna go with Steve already took the shot on me. I felt, a little sideways jab coming from him when he shouted out Tyler Warren, because I do talk about Tyler Warren a lot. I talked about him earlier this week on the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show. I'm not talking about Tyler Warren tonight, folks, but I am going to pivot to another former Penn State, the new tight end university graduate, Brenton Strange. Evan Engram, he was cut from the Jaguars. Christian Kirk was cut from the Jaguars. Wide receivers behind Brian Thomas on the Jaguars include Dimey Brown, Gabe Davis, Parker Washington. And I have a soft spot for a few of those guys, like Parker Washington, former Penn State guy. Gabe Davis, everyone remembers what he did a time or two ago. And Dimey Brown, that was the guy we were betting on during the playoffs who was good to us. So I do like these players, but none of them are high volume wide receivers. And the Jaguars also don't have the luxury to go add a big name wide receiver in the draft because their line is so bad on both the defensive side and the offensive side. Their secondary is piss poor. And to be a tight end one for fantasy football, you have to do one of two things: either be an athletic freak or be a top 2 target earner on your team. Brenton Strange is not an athletic freak. He's not George Kittle, but Brenton Strange could definitely be a top 2 target earner on this team. And I think at times last season, he already was. He finishes as tight end 1 4 times, including week 15 when he was working with Mac Jones. 11 of 12 targets, he caught 73 yards. So a lot of tight ends are pretty gross in this back end tight end 2 range. I think a few have tight end 1 upside like Brenton Strange. I would take Brenton Strange over Kyle Pitts, 100%. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I
have. Oh, come on!
Thank you.
I don't think Brenton Strange is really all that great, and I understand. He had some good performances for sure last year.
Tight end you, brother. Tight end you.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, sure, it will technically be, but will it really? I don't think so.
So we were having this conversation this week
it's
too.
Still Iowa.
Penn State's the volume play though. Penn State has 10 starting tight ends almost. There's a lot of them.
Who?
Jawan Johnson, Mike Gesicki, Brenton Strange, Theo Johnson. That's 4.
Are they any good?
Pat Fryermuth. That's why I said they're the volume play. Iowa has the higher end tight ends, but Penn State's got 5, at least 5 starters. 6 will be Tyler Warren. So
I feel like if I look, the numbers overall are pretty close, but that's my concern is whenever I'm taking the swings on tight end at this price, I don't want them to be a guy who has to rely on the volume. I'd rather him have that big play upside. Because if I'm taking a tight end in this range, fair. I've normally already drafted, not necessarily an elite tight end, but a guy in the range of the tight end I'm going to talk about. And I want the guy I'm taking here to be a guy who has that game-breaking big play upside, just needs 1 or 2 plays a week to make my lineup. Because I'm not asking this guy to make my lineup. And sure, he gets a lot of volume. He did at times, I should say. He's not super efficient with it. He's fine. Like, he's just he fits the mold of most Penn State tight ends, which is just kind of fine.
Yeah. Volume play, baby. You do not have a Penn State tight end on your all value team, but you do have someone who used to play with this Penn State tight end.
Yeah, it's good old Evan Engram, all the way up there at tight end 11, which I still think is a crazy value for him. He obviously, didn't have the season we were hoping for last year, mostly due to injury, performance issues with the rest of that, as we've already talked about, atrocious offense. But he kept the streak alive. As long as it's a season in which Daniel Jones is not his quarterback, he's finished as a tight end 1 in points per game. And he continues to do that. He gets Sean Payton's offense. I don't know if anybody knows how to be creative with the tight end more than Sean Payton. He, in my mind, is the most physically talented pass catcher currently on that roster. And I love Evan Engram. He's a guy who we've seen consistently year over year earn volume. Even last year, he was 3rd amongst tight ends in target share. Like, this is a guy who earns volume regardless of where he is, what team he's on. And at tight end 11 prices, I'm so in. Like, some people would probably say we're not taking him that, like, it may not be a crazy value, but I think it is, because this is a guy that we know has top 5 tight end upside. And when I'm getting that at a, what's quick math on that? Like 120% discount from a top 5 tight end. I'm taking that.
The only thing that concerns me here is Denver is still meeting with a lot of these tight ends. And
they need somebody who can block. They need their fullback. They need their Eric Saubert.
Yeah. They're just meeting with a bunch of them. So it's tough to,
I think to Jake's point, not to like step on your toes or anything here. And usually I don't try to just go out of my way to disagree with Seth. So please don't think I do. Evan Engram was the target for the Denver Broncos this offseason. It was very, very glaringly obvious that they wanted Evan Engram badly. They signed him to a multi-year deal. They did it quickly. They did not waste time. This was a priority signing.
True.
I don't think they have an alpha receiver, right? Like, there's no one there that you're like, oh, they're going to gobble up targets. Like, Courtland Sutton's fine, right? But
Courtland Sutton gets a shit ton of volume, but more because
there's no other option, right?
Exactly,
but now there's another option, and Evan Engram has proven to be better with a lot of targets than Courtland Sutton is. So I think this is actually a very, very good pick.
Cool. Awesome. Steve, take us home with your flex here.
Yeah, I went with Josh Downs. Now, I am aware, I'll say, of Anthony Richardson's shortcomings as a passer. Okay?
Yeah.
I get it. I see it. I'm aware that Daniel Jones is there as well.
Yeah, possible quarterback controversy right there.
However, let's just say that Daniel Jones does take over, which shouldn't happen. But if it does, Wan'Dale Robinson was pretty fucking good last year with Daniel Jones in, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
And if I remember correctly, Josh Downs was really fucking good pretty much all year. Like, he was good.
He was.
Wide receiver 48. I'm looking at it going like, did we just, what happened? We erased last year? We're just not going to, we're going to pretend that didn't happen. We're going to pretend Michael Pittman didn't show that he took a step back, that he's maybe a step slow to be the number 1 receiver in this offense. And Josh Downs, fully recovered from injuries early in his career, very much looks like the wide receiver 1 in Indy. At wide receiver 48, are we anticipating so much that they're going to draft some tight end in the first round that's going to gobble up every target? I don't think so. This team doesn't throw to their running backs either. Josh Downs could very well finish in the top 20 of wide receivers, and I wouldn't be shocked. The guy knows how to score touchdowns. He does it at every level. He's a good short route guy. He's a good deep route guy. Like, listen, make this make sense to me, because I really was stunned when I saw this guy's going behind rookies who we're talking about 2nd round, 3rd round picks. And Josh Downs is going at wide receiver fucking 48.
It's because we're getting no Joe Flacco games.
Those weren't good. Like,
they were his fantasy games.
Yeah, but Josh Downs was able to do it with anybody. Like, it really is a matter of, is the talent there, right? Like that's what you need to evaluate. And I think so often we get hung up on, and this happens in all different situations. This is how a lot of people wind up drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire ahead of Jonathan Taylor in drafts. Like this is what don't get so bogged down by the situation that you forget about the talent, right? Josh Downs is a talented receiver. I think we need to treat him as such so that we don't make the same mistakes that we've made in the past and we miss out on someone who could really be a valuable flex play for you.
Yeah, the thing I like about Josh Downs, honestly, and I think Jake does make a good point. Definitely a bit better with Flacco last year, but at the same time, he had 800 yards the year before as well with Gardner Minshew in his rookie season. Downs, that is, and then also playing with A-Rich early on, and then like comes back last year. He only played 14 games, and he still had 107 targets, 72 receptions, 803 yards. Like those are pretty good numbers. Like I would rather take the shot on someone like Downs, who I at least think can give you safety and like at the end of these seasons, man. You look at some of your underdog teams, and your best ball teams especially, and like you just need fucking points. Like it's like I just need a floor of 10 points to get into my lineup this week. And like someone like Michael Pittman, you can't trust, because I do think Pittman's a better wide receiver in real life than Downs, but for fantasy, you just can't trust that high variance, big play touchdown dependentness that MPJ brings to the table. So I like this call out a lot, Steve. I even put it on the thumbnail for you. So I did that, and you still stole my quarterback. So
sorry, man. Again, the coffee didn't flow.
That's all right, brother.
I will say I like Downs at this price, even though I am very concerned about what the production looks like. At the price, it's still a great pick.
I'll go ahead and throw out my flex here. It's DJ Giddens, running back out of Kansas State. I think DJ Giddens is quietly one of the true 3-down workhorses in this draft. He's going off at underdog currently RB53. He's a Doak Walker Award semifinalist. He declared for the draft after back-to-back seasons of 1,500 plus combined yards, scored 21 touchdowns in that span. Love what he did this past season. He worked alongside a mobile quarterback named Avery Johnson. Kid's got great hair, not a great quarterback. And Giddens was like really the stabilizing force in that offense. Had 7 games in 2024 with over 100 rushing yards. He also helped himself to finish 4th in the Big 12 in rushing yards. He had a great combine, had a 9.78 RAS. That's sensational. 3rd best at the position this season. Also had top 30 visits with both the Broncos and the Steelers. Like he'd be an immediate starter in Denver, potentially could work in a 3-down role. And then probably likely the 1B in Pittsburgh to Jaylen Warren. I said a couple weeks ago, I love Giddens in Pittsburgh, and it's maybe tracking that's a case in the 2nd or 3rd round. Giddens is 10th among rookie running backs coming off the board on underdog. He's going behind a ton of backs who have really no shot coming close to a 50% snap share. Like DJ Giddens, boys, could be pulling you a 50% snap share at this running back 53 value. I would say probably like the next closest running back on the board who could give you a 50% snap share. DeAndre Swift, RB35, if they don't draft Ashton Genty, and then Brian Robinson Jr., RB34. Those are way earlier than RB53 here. So I'm down on Giddens bad right now, boys.
You can have him.
Whoa!
I don't like him. He's outside
like him?
He's outside of my top 20 running backs.
You didn't watch.
Top
Come on,
20.
Jake. Come on,
Like
Jake.
Rookies?
Yes.
Why?
I don't think he's very good in pass pro. I think he's going to lose snaps wherever he goes due to pass pro. It matters. Keeps you on the field on 3rd down. I don't think he's that special as a pass catcher. I think because of the way he runs with really long strides comparatively for a lot of running backs. So he's going to struggle to make guys miss in small windows if the hole isn't perfect. He lacks some of that upside there. I understand the physical nature of the running back, and it's why I don't mind taking some shots on him, and I'll probably end up with some. I just don't think the path to true fantasy relevance is as clear as it is for him for a lot of other guys.
Fair. Very, very fair. Jake, go ahead and round us out with your flex, please.
Yeah, my guy, he may have forgotten his own name at this point, but I didn't. It's Chris Olave coming off the board at wide receiver 31.
That was dirty.
I understand, and I just kind of alluded to it. He just had his 5th concussion last year, but the dude's still the wide receiver 1 of the New Orleans Saints. I'll take a wide receiver 1 at wide receiver 31 prices. If he can, not get hurt, if a team can finally recognize that, hey, this guy's pretty good at running routes, we don't just have to have him run nines and posts every time, and we could just let him get creative and put him in positions where he doesn't have to get himself hit.
Yeah.
Derek Carr not throwing hospital balls would also be pretty sick. He's approaching Peyton Manning levels of king of hospital ball throwers to me. But again, when I can just get a guy I know is the team's wide receiver 1 with really no true threat to his target share at this point, I'm not going to not take that at wide receiver 31. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's, for the last 3 years now, we've been taking him in drafts as a top 15, top 20 wide receiver pretty consistently.
But he never is one.
That's fine.
He was borderline top 15 his rookie year.
Right, but I mean, listen, I like the shout out, and I wish Chris Olave all the best. But honestly, when that team was healthy at the start of the year, he wasn't even their best wide receiver.
Yeah, that's true.
He wasn't their best wide receiver to start the year.
Production-wise, yeah.
I'm not buying into Rashid Shaheed getting a couple long touchdowns. I'll just say that.
I gotta tell you, I think Chris Olave is a really good wide receiver 2 in the NFL. I just don't think he's a wide receiver 1, and I don't think he ever will be. I think he just struggles in a lot of different areas that he shouldn't. And the hype was there for him, right? And we do draft him as a top 15, top 20 guy every year, and we hardly ever get that production out of him. And again, you can only blame the situation so much. He is the wide receiver 1, and for a while, it really was him or nothing. And it's still, so most of the time, was nothing. He has big games here and there. I just don't love the route running and the separating ability of Chris Olave. And now you're adding in these concussions, dude. And that's scary. And I'm not trying to beleaguer the guy, for his medical mishaps, but at some point this dude's brain is going to turn to mush and he's going to have to retire, because you cannot have that many concussions and have a doctor realistically expect to clear you in any sort of way that
Tua's still got a job.
Yeah,
but Tua's on number 2 or 3, right? Olave's on 5.
He had 3 in a week.
Yeah, but Olave's on 5, 5 real knockouts. This is bad. This.
Yeah, it's not great.
This is starting to border on like a humanity crisis.
My thought, I'm so mixed on Olave because I loved him coming out of Ohio State. I have a ton of Olave in Dynasty. I did trade him off a couple places last year because the price did get too high for him. I agree. I didn't have any Olave redraft shares the last 2 seasons. I traded him off a couple times when his Dynasty share got very, very high as well. But at wide receiver 31, I'm with you, Jake. I'm all the fuck back in. It's a crazy price. And here's the thing we got to remember about this situation and how this changes now. Kellen Moore is now the head coach and the offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore is the one who re-unlocked Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen had one of his best seasons at age 30 plus with Justin Herbert a couple years ago, because Kellen's you can not just run the power slot, but you can also run in wide receiver sets and multiple different functions. I think he's going to use Olave all over the place. And despite the Eagles wide receivers not having the best seasons last year, they were used really great. I loved what Devonta Smith was doing, running inside the slot, outside the slot. Same with AJ Brown. It was just they had a running back who was setting a crazy pace, and they knew, halfway through the season, we're going for the record here. So I'm with you, Jake. I think Chris Olave, this is a great pick. I'll go ahead and quickly review everyone's team, and then we'll round it out with Would You Rather. Jake, for his quarterback of the all-value team, Justin Fields at quarterback 15. Running back Travis Etienne going off at RB 31. Emeka Egbuka going off at wide receiver 46. Evan Engram of the Denver Broncos, now tight end 11. And Chris Olave, wide receiver 31. I really like that team, Jake. Steve steals my guy Drake Maye for his quarterback. Then he goes Trey Benson at running back, RB 42. Brandon Aiyuk, wide receiver 44, Kyle Pitts, tight end 18. Josh Downs, wide receiver 48. And then for my all-value team, I'm going CJ Stroud at the quarterback position. I'm also going Isaac Guerendo at RB 49. at receiver, give me a rookie, Matthew Golden, wide receiver 44, Brenton Strange at the tight end 21, and also DJ Giddens at my flex coming out of Kansas State there, RB 53. Steve, you think maybe we could make a little social graphic of our teams and let the people of the internet let us know what they think?
Yeah, you know what? I'll put one together for tomorrow.
Let's do it. All right, yeah, let us know down in the comments below as well whose team you like the best. We want to hear from you guys, and we'll go ahead and round out the show, the game of Would You Rather.
Risking business or that fair say. Are you that hard on the rocks? We're chilling with a cold one. Even bold one or hold back. Would you rather? This ain't no simple matter.
It is Would You Rather. It's no simple matter, but the game itself is simple. We're talking a little NFL betting. We'll talk a little entertainment, a little lifestyle as well. It's a fun game, how we like to round out a couple different shows here. And boys, ESPN Bet, they have finally, they're the first sportsbook to release their NFL season win total market. And it's juiced as all hell. So, would you rather bet the following juiced NFL season win totals? Cleveland Browns over 4.5, minus 155. Tennessee Titans over 5.5 wins, minus 150. Or the New York Jets over 5.5 wins, minus 150. And for the hell of it, Buffalo Bills over 11.5, minus 145. So I think we can all probably say that none of us are betting these. Like I've been looking through these early season win totals. We'll probably have to wait to see the full spread before I decide if I'm really going to lay anything down on any of these. I like to see the discrepancy between books, but these are really juiced, especially like when you compare them to like the early college football lines that we got. So probably safe to say none of us are betting these, but if you had to absolutely say you are not betting or you are betting one of these, what would it be? Steve, what are you thinking here?
If I had to bet one of these, like if someone said, you're putting your life savings, you're gun to my head, you got to bet one, I would bet the Jets. I would take the New York Jets to win 6 or more games. I genuinely believe, and I said this, I think last week or the week before, that the Jets could win this division.
Yeah, I don't
think New
think
York
that's
Jets could win the AFC East, and I don't think I'd be as shocked as people think I would be. I think they're better than the Patriots easily, right? Add in the fact that their defense is still full of really, really good playmakers. They got a defensive-minded head coach again in there. However, Aaron Glenn is well aware of how to run an offense, considering he came from Detroit. He saw how that worked. I don't love the whole, like, we have 3 running backs that are going to touch the ball thing, but that's neither here nor there. I think this team could rally around a new head coach, some new energy in the building, plus Justin Fields being the quarterback now. Why on earth are we thinking this team's going to take a step back from the anemic offense that was Aaron Rodgers led and not be better? The team wasn't happy last year. They fired Robert Saleh. The defense basically threw their hands up, said, like, fuck it, we're not playing.
Yeah.
And now we have someone in there that's going to like rejuvenate this franchise a bit. I think this was a great hire for a head coach. I'm excited. I'm pretty in on the Jets this year, I guess.
You're the new Frisky Jets holder. We have we have the T-shirts that never sold in storage, so we'll have to get you one of those, Steve. I'll send that up.
I'll happily buy one.
All right, we'll give it to you for all your hard work over here. Jake Perry, what are you thinking with a season win total bets? Are you getting a little frisky with Steve out there in New York?
I am. Yeah, it's the only one that has any appeal to me here. Steve said most of it, so I'll keep this pretty short-winded. Ignoring the Bills because I'm just not betting minus money over double-digit wins for anybody
that's such a high
ever.
win total. Dude,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Josh Allen twisted an ankle. That's fucked.
Yeah, exactly. But
good point.
There's one team of the other 3 that actually has a good amount of talented players, and it's the Jets. There's a lot of guys on that team with a lot of talent. Tennessee is lacking talent pretty severely. Cleveland, for the most part, is lacking talent pretty severely.
No, with Deshaun Watson? No. Come on.
Hey, we don't have to watch him play football for another year because he did us the favor of re-tearing his Achilles.
Jimmy Haslam shot him in that Achilles. Let's be so fucking
Probably.
for real right now.
But yeah, it's
It's
the
like
Jets
walking
and-
down the street on like Lake Erie Boulevard. and just
Legit,
gets
there was
fucking-
a hit put out on that Achilles.
I was
Jimmy
gonna say
Haslam's
they had a
like,
guy
"Make
waiting under his car to just
it-" Yeah,
give it the old
Hostel,
snip.
like in Hostel.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, it's the Jets. It's not close. It's the only one in this group I would ever consider betting.
Mhm. Okay. So
Love it.
I understand that, and again, I was the original, trademark of frisky Jets over here. I do like the Titans. I actually do like the Titans quite a bit too. I talked about them last week. I already have a Super Bowl future placed on them for a little cash head opportunity later on. However, I actually think the Buffalo Bills over 11.5. I don't think that's a bad number, boys. Like, if we're gonna be honest, like, we gotta think about this. They should at least probably win 4 to 6 games in this division. I don't think they'll sweep the division by any means. The Jets could usually steal one off them. Maybe Miami does, but I think they could at least take 4 of 6 of this division. And then they're going to be playing at Atlanta. I don't mind that game. They're playing the Saints. Give them a win there. They got the Panthers. They have the Browns. They have the Steelers at the end of the season on that list. We don't know when the games are yet, but so I don't mind the Bills. I don't mind the Bills at all. 11.
The
I
problem
don't
is
mind it.
Steve already said it. If Josh Allen gets hurt,
Yeah.
they have no talent on offense.
That's the problem, is that it's so
I'll say-
dependent on Josh
But
Allen.
outside James Cook,
Yeah, from a pass
James
catcher
Cook,
perspective,
I
they have
think-
no talent.
who is
disagree
the
with that.
backup? Who is the backup quarterback up there now? It's not Mitch.
Kyle Allen, I think it's
Oh,
Kyle.
Isn't
Allen.
it? I thought it was still Mitch
Or
Trubisky.
no, yeah,
but-
it's Mitch. It's Mitch.
Yeah, I thought Mitch.
Like,
got
I'm
that.
not counting on Mitch Trubisky like winning me 12 games. I do
Yeah, I
think
was
they
a
have
Bears
pass
fan.
catching
Don't do
talent. I
it.
think Keon
That's-
Coleman, by the way, is going to have a good bounce back season. Just putting that out there.
No, this got Mike White now too, behind Mitch.
That's not good.
Hey, Mike White had a little bit. Mike White was moving T-shirts a couple years ago. Don't forget that.
that
man.
doesn't
He was
mean
moving-
anything. That
He
means
was moving
nothing.
more.
Like,
he moved more T-shirts than we did frisky Jet shirts.
yeah. Well, the point is that at 11.5, that's a high number to have to like pay.
I'm not.
extra
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
That just doesn't feel like a bet I'd want to take.
No,
the Jets
I-
just need to win 6 games, and 2
Yeah,
of them
it's-
are against the Patriots.
It's like an on paper. If you have 1 or 2 bad games against teams you shouldn't, the bet's cooked.
Sure. Yeah, and minus 145 again. We're not betting any of these.
Yeah,
but
we're not betting these.
The Bills was the best one. I thought at minus 145, a little less juice you're paying there too. Steve, go ahead and introduce our entertainment question for the night of Would You Rather. I know you and Jake, you got another episode of Popcorn and Root Beer with Trash Sandwiches coming out Thursday evening, I think 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's our entertainment betting show here at IBT. Yes, you can bet on your movie knowledge, your TV knowledge, your music knowledge, all that over there. So tell us what you guys got going on here at Popcorn and Root Beer this week, and introduce the next question if you would as well.
Yeah, over at Popcorn and Root Beer, we talk about all the good stuff. We're going to be talking Kalshi bets. We're going to take you over to Bet US to do some more betting on the biggest blockbusters of the year coming up. We're going to do a lot of fun deep dives and give our some hot takes from our deepest, most ugly parts of our movie fandom. But for this program, would you rather binge the following April releases? I got 3 of them for you. You, season 5, it's on Netflix. Joe Goldberg returns to New York City to live peacefully, but his dangerous past and desires threaten his new life. We also have The Last of Us season 2, the second season based on the 2020 game The Last of Us Part 2, follows Joel and Ellie, played by Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, respectively, 5 years after the events of the first season, and it introduces Abby, for those who played the game, you know what's up, Caitlin Dever, or you got Andor season 2 on Disney Plus. Andor season 2 will be split into 4 3-episode installments, each depicting a 12-month period that is important to the development of the Rebel Alliance. Those are You on Netflix, The Last of Us on Max, and Andor on Disney Plus.
Can I say, give me Andor season 2? Like, I think that was probably the best
that's
Star
fair.
Wars TV series has been, man. Like that first season, bit of a journey over there. I think I can't remember the actor who plays Andor, but that guy's a fucking unit. I think that's a great show. I've never watched. To be fair, I've never watched either of these other ones. I've heard The Last of Us is great, so Pedro Pascal, like that will also be a banger. So I'd also probably like to binge that, the first season, then the second one. I've never watched you, Jake. I'm sure you've watched that, being the entertainment connoisseur you have, but just like kind of the premise freaked me out of it, so I didn't really want to get invested with that.
It's
No,
valid. You
don't like stalkers?
You kind
No.
of hate it. I do appreciate a show that kind of makes you hate everybody. And
See,
View
I
does a
don't.
great
I
job
hate
at
that. I hate that.
That's annoying. It's annoying.
What would you go here with, Jake? What if you had to binge one of these? What would you pick?
Yeah, it's The Last of Us, and it's not even kind of close.
Mm.
Truthfully, one of the best first seasons of a TV show in the past 10, 15 years for me was The Last of Us, the first season. It's done so well. They tell the story in such a unique way, in such a great way. They delve into things that were hinted at in the game that they were able to truly flesh out and give it a whole episode. It was phenomenal. I know people are already mad about season 2 because in the games, Abby is jacked out of her mind.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
It's all over the internet. Abby's jacked out of her mind. In the show, she's not gonna be. People have been about that for 3 months now. But yeah, it's a great show. It's phenomenal. Pedro Pascal kills it. Bella kills it. I'm sure Caitlin will kill it. It's The Last of Us, and I probably won't watch either of the other shows anyway.
Steve, what about you?
This is weird. I am not a huge fan of any of them. So The Last of Us is done. I will say this. The Last of Us is done incredibly well. Like, it's an absolutely gorgeous show. The acting is top notch. The production is top notch. The first episode was so chaotic and so stressful.
Of season 2 or season 1?
Of season 1. It gave me an anxiety attack and I couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
So
it's just like the game. It's just like the game.
Yeah. I could never get that
better.
far in the game. I could never get that far in that game.
It was too much. Just sensory overload for me.
I get that.
The zombie thing kind of is a little played out for me.
Not zombies. They're infected. Not zombies.
Yeah,
not zombies.
That's another thing that drives me crazy. We'll talk about that more later on Popcorn and Root Beer. If I had to pick, I would probably watch Andor.
Let's go.
I would probably lean that direction. Now, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but I do appreciate what they're doing and their lead up to Rogue One, which is a standalone Star Wars story that I thought was probably the best Star Wars movie I've ever watched.
Oh, wow.
So, and I've seen them all. Like, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I do go to the movies. I think Andor has that capability. It seems like they're putting the time into it, and they're trying to do this in a different style, just a unique way. And anytime a story wants to be told and they're willing to take those risks, especially a company like Disney that is so risk averse right now, I'm usually willing to give it the benefit of the doubt and try it out.
All right.
I want to reward that. You know what I mean? Like, reward uniqueness.
I'll go ahead and round out the program here with our last would you rather question. Would you rather travel the world free for a year or have $50,000 to spend however? What do you think, Jacob Perry?
I got to clarify. When you say travel the world free, are we talking just airfare? Like just that side of things, or is the whole thing free?
Whole thing's free.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing that. I don't even like traveling that much, but I could blow through $50,000 in like 25 minutes if you gave it to me right now. I'd just go pay off a bunch of debt.
Yeah,
but
true.
If I'm traveling the world for free for a year, I'm living it up. Whoever's paying for that year is easily touching 10 mil. I'm killing their bank account. I'm staying at the nicest Airbnbs. My rental cars are all going to be Lambos. They're going to regret giving me that year.
Steve, where are you at on this? Because I think I would take the 50,000 to spend. However, honestly, like I'm just not like I like to travel, but I'm like I couldn't travel for a year, brother. Like who's gonna do the program? Who's gonna host this damn
You can
show?
do it on the road.
I don't want to. I got my whole setup here. I got food downstairs in my cabinet. I got my cats downstairs. Like I ain't doing that. Come on.
But imagine doing the show from the beach. You can bring the cats with you.
I can't.
Show from the beach. You're leaving as soon as the show's done. You're heading over to Augusta, Georgia to go to the Masters. You're like, oh, that was cool. I want to go to Australia now. I'm going to go hang out with sharks and giant spiders. You do whatever you want there.
But I could
You're
just
like,
have $50,000, like you said. Like I could get
All right.
w-
I'll
yeah,
split the difference here. I'll split the difference. I love to travel. I do love to travel. I just went to
It's
Europe
true.
last year. Loved every second of it. However,
I think twice. Did you go to Europe twice, or is that
I
someone
went to
else?
no, I went once. I only
Okay.
went once. I wish I
saw-
went twice. I
That
almost
was
just
Matt
didn't come back.
Kelly. Yeah, you're good.
As much as I love to travel, $50,000, like no amount of free travel can buy peace of mind like $50,000 could do right now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the saying is always money can't buy happiness. I'll tell you right now, there is not like one problem in my entire life that wouldn't be solved by like just becoming a millionaire tomorrow.
For sure.
Like
Right.
literally, like people are like, you can't buy happiness. Then what the fuck are you buying?
have
Because
you
I'll
seen
tell you
anybody
what,
frowning on a jet ski?
yeah, it's
Have
a
ya?
lot. I'll tell you what, it's a lot better to cry. It's a lot better to cry in a Ferrari, right? Like, I mean, let's be real. Let's
Yeah.
be so fucking for real right now. But like $50,000. Is it life-changing amount of money? Probably not in the long run, but is it enough
No.
for me to put away, pay my rent every month without ever having to worry about it, without having to worry about, do I have enough if I pop a tire or get into an accident and have to pay my deductible or have to go to the ER and have to pay my
Sure.
deductible? You know what I mean? $50,000, there's no amount of travel that can buy that peace of mind for me. So,
Yeah.
from a very real place, I would say the $50,000 would be life-changing just in the ease it would put me at.
Mhm.
Just not having to worry about bills, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it gives you that buffer. Having a buffer is so wildly important in today's day and age, with everything being so
Gotta
expensive.
have that emergency fund. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I'm not going to take the $50,000 and go buy a house with it. I'm going to put it in my bank account. It's going to sit there, do nothing other than just
Yeah.
give me that relaxation to know it's all set. I'm good. If something happens, I lose my job, I get laid off, whatever
High
happens,
yield interest savings, baby. Yeah.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You know what I mean? And that's what I would do. I'd probably just stick it like, in some fund somewhere and just let it accrue interest.
Absolutely. Let us know down in the comments below, guys. What would you rather do? Would you rather take the 50K like potentially Steve and I will, or will you travel the world with Jake and his fam? And let us know these other would you rather questions as well, whether it's the TV or the NFL betting. We want to hear from you. And that is going to do it for us tonight on the In Between Fantasy Football podcast. If you've rode with us this long, please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, subscribe to the whole damn channel while you're here. We've got NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR betting, PGA betting, and of course, some entertainment betting as well, all to help you cash more and enjoy the ride along the way. Also, be sure to check out inbetweenmedia.com for some written content and upcoming live events, including Draft Night Out 2025 tickets for Steve Lawson and Jake Perry, and of course, Kyle Scott as well. I'm Seth Wilcock. Thanks for watching, and keep it in between until next time.